again welcome all of you. I know after the refreshing talk and words, you all are again hungry for the knowledge. And that's why let's move forward with our first panel discussion on marketplace model. To brief you, a marketplace model is where a retailer simply creates the platform for sellers and buyers. This is in contrast to the standard inventory model where the retailer owns the entire inventory that is listed on the website. For this panel discussion, I would like to warmly welcome our panelists. First and foremost, Mr. Deepak Tulsiram. Mr. Deepak heads the jewelry catalog for retail experts at eBay India. Holding 12 years of experience in national and international markets, handles the partnership with the potential jewelry merchants and takes company to the higher scale. We welcome you, sir. The less the merrier, but more the claps would be more merrier. Thank you. One round of applause again. That's better. Our second panelist is Mr. Devang Nerila. He is the visionary behind Atom and holds 15 years of experience in technology architecture for trading and risk management system and real-time messaging environments. He takes up the complete payments initiatives in the financial technologies group. At Atom, his line of responsibilities like sales, marketing, communications, technology development and operations are well handled by him. We welcome you, sir. Our another panelist for this panel discussion is Mr. Priyesh Ranjan. Mr. Priyesh is the regional manager at Paytm and leads business development and alliances. An internet and mobile enthusiast, he is helping create India's biggest mobile marketplace. He had co-founded PadakuJoker.com, an e-learning portal. Over 23,000 copies of his fiction novel, That's the Life Baby, has been sold, which was published in 2010. We welcome you, sir. And we also welcome the moderator of this panel discussion, Mr. Ashish Jhalani, founder of eTailing India. We welcome all the gentlemen and proceed with the program. Thanks for being the great crowd.
So good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see everyone again. This time sitting down, so different view. So our panel is about marketplace. Right? Marketplace is a model, which most of our news today, media covers, is Flipkart, Snapdeal of the world, Amazons of the world, right? They are all marketplaces. So I think the panel was put together to kind of give you views on what marketplace models there are, okay? And what are the pros and cons of going with the marketplace, right? Versus what strategy also that you as a retailer or as a seller should take when you're looking at the online space itself, okay? So what we have are three very distinct panelists, right? Deepak is from eBay, Devang runs payment payment company, and Priyesh is from Paytm. So what I'll do is I'll first ask them their view on the marketplace model as to what particular type of a model that they're involved in and what model that they can discuss, because there's a few different types of models that exist in the market. So I think either we'll start with Deepak on this side and kind of Deepak share your views on what different models there are, and then we'll kind of take it from there.
Hello, am I audible? Hi, good afternoon everyone. So I will first talk about marketplace model that eBay presents. So as you know, eBay is one of the leading global marketplaces, and we are basically in the business of connecting buyers and sellers. So we don't sell. So in a way, eBay is a partner, not a competitor. So right from small sellers to large sellers to brands, anyone is welcome to partner with eBay and reach out to the sellers. The model is very simple. We don't stock inventory. So unlike other marketplaces model, it's a pure open marketplace.
Thanks, Deepak. And actually, I'll ask Priyesh and then I'll come to Devang.
Hi all. Paytm, as many of you might be knowing about the mobile app or the company is more known in the market for their mobile recharge, data recharge and everything, but we take pride in saying that we were the first India's mobile marketplace. So as in we saw mobile futures back in 2010 when we started this company. And we are also pure play marketplace. The basic idea is that we see the great power of internet in creating a channel to give access of customers back to sellers, manufacturers, retailers who have the expertise of product. So what we see is that on one side we have the product, on the other side we have consumer. And internet should be used as a marketplace. You know, marketplace is the name that we use for that pipe to create, to connect these products to the consumers. So idea is to empower retailers, sellers, manufacturers, not only in metros but also in tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, and empower the whole ecosystem. So here we are also not selling, we are not selling on this platform. We are allowing sellers to sell their products, list their products, give them visibility, do marketing for them. And in a way we can say that we are the biggest online shopping mall on the mobile plus web as of today.
Thanks, Priyesh. And Devang, besides these two models that Deepak and Dave talked about, can you just share with our audience a few more models that you're aware of in this space?
I think if you look at, we have spoken about channels out here. eBay is essentially on the internet, and if you look at Paytm is primarily a mobile marketplace. But one of the key things, I think it's whatever differentiation you see in the Indian markets, right? I mean, some see somebody like a Flipkart or maybe some people like a Snapdeal. These people have, I think, along with being a marketplace, is a co-joined or conjoined kind of a business offering which they have, and they themselves act as a seller on the marketplace itself. Now, yes, there will be questions against that, but those sort of marketplaces do exist in terms of trying to do that. And one is, we've always spoken about marketplaces today traditionally in being in terms of specific goods. For example, let's say eBay or maybe for a Paytm or something, is more in terms of consumer goods. Now, we've seen a lot of evolution of marketplaces happening in terms of lot more. For example, at one point in time when you had Fab India and Fab Malls were starting up, their original intention, if you look at their intention, was to become a marketplace for all the artisans across the country and create a different sort of a marketplace. So I think a whole lot of, we are kind of fixated by the marketplace concept that it being a consumer and can be used for any kind of a product, but you can have very, very consumer specific or good specific kind of marketplaces where you're creating that community feeling and trying to create it and create a kind of network for us.
Very important point that Devang made. Besides the general marketplaces, there are marketplaces out there that cater to specific niches, right? You don't hear about them a lot because they're not in the news and they're not as big as our big toys, but there are a lot of them and they do cater to certain parts of the industry. Now let's ask our panelists, what are the pros of, why should a seller be selling on a marketplace? I think when they introduced the marketplace, they kind of talked about some of this, but realistically, I want them to go into a little more detail of why people should come out and sell on a marketplace, because I think that's the main intention of having this panel. So again, I'll start with Deepak on the other side.
So I would answer that question in a couple of parts. So if you look at who wants to sell, the reason for selling online in a marketplace would differ from the person who wants to sell. So eBay typically in India has about 50,000 sellers, and out of that 15,000 are actually exporting. There are export sellers who want to focus on exporting, and there are sellers who are selling domestically. So the opportunity that marketplace provides is access to global customer base. So it has a reach of 201 countries. That's presence and access to the customer that a seller can reach out to with a marketplace model, probably not with his own website. And so if you look at the total number of customers that eBay has, it's 155 million across globally. That's one reason is the reach. Second is eBay, out of the 50,000 sellers that we have, a lot of those sellers are actually first-time entrepreneurs. So we feel pride when we meet our sellers and we find out that they started their career selling on eBay. So a lot of people without any background on selling a product, they experimented selling, and that's what the beauty of this platform. You have a small inventory, you start putting it up on eBay, and you start seeing traction, and you keep increasing the inventory, and you actually become a big business. So that's another way. You don't need a big investment to start selling in the marketplace. The other one is, if you look at people who have the online presence or have a physical presence in terms of retail or wholesale business. So they already have a, let's say, brand established. So for them, they can set up their own website. But coming to eBay would give them again a quick learning than their own website. So it's established infrastructure and established customer base again for a retailer.
Cool, thanks.
See, in case of marketplace, the best part is that you have a robust demand side already created. So, to speak of Paytm, we have more than 21 million user base. We see 0.5 million average transactions every day. So, bulk is coming from recharges, but nonetheless, these are activated customers who are coming to our platform every day. So, for a brand or a small seller, say based out of Nasik or Nagpur, getting access to this 21 million user base is something he could never afford because of costs, economics, and so on. So ideally, what gives Paytm gives to him as a base of consumers pan India, and he can sell his product. And again, on the supply side, I'll share a story of a merchant who is from Nagpur. He does around 8,000 orders, in a month. It's a two-member team. He is an expert in sourcing. He understands the product. We do understand the channel, we do understand online marketing, we do have traffic. So it's a perfect combination. So ideally, if someone understands the product, he knows how to sell, marketplace is a perfect place to go because he doesn't need to take care of footfalls or traffic or how to create the demand. You just need to focus on supply side. And again, this is time of you have to be experts to survive. If you're not experts, you don't micro specialize, you cannot survive in this industry because it's very dynamic. And we are seeing a lot of cases where people are, changing the focus from their offline business to their online business because there are a lot of marketplaces. So suppose you're listed on Flipkart, you're listed on Paytm, you're listed on Amazon, you're listed on eBay, and so on. So the kind of orders we are seeing from them is much more than your offline business or much more than what your offline business spread across multiple cities could afford. Right? So ideally, this has also spawned another ecosystem of companies who support you in selling on marketplaces, and that is a very good thing. So on Paytm or in marketplace, what I've seen is there are two set of sellers. One is who is digitally evolved. They understand, they use a lot of techniques also, use SaaS and other things to optimize their sales on multiple marketplaces. And there is another set of sellers coming from tier 2 cities who are growing their business, getting the flavor of marketplace, seeing traction, getting very excited and focusing. And again, someone doing 80 lakhs GMV per month on a marketplace, if it's a two-member team, he's sourcing either from China or some manufacturer, from profit point of view, it makes a lot of sense. You don't have to, your OPEX is very less, you don't have to do marketing, so it's a win-win situation for all, sellers, marketplace, and everyone, and customer also.
Okay, to kind of summarize what Deepak and Priya said, and I just put notes down just because I have to take to the next level. A couple of things they talk about on the pro side, right? You have a larger customer base, right? They have a ready customer base. So the demand side that Priya is talking about and Deepak is talking about. So marketplaces obviously have that advantage. They're going out and marketing for you, right? So you need to understand a little less about marketing when you're on a marketplace because you worry about the supply side. The other pros they talk about is obviously low knowledge of technology, right? You don't need to understand technology much to be on a marketplace. To me, actually, even today, even on your own, there's a lot less knowledge, but still more knowledge you would need compared to a marketplace itself. Then even if you don't, and Deepak kind of mentioned these, at marketplace, a lot of times you get first-time entrepreneurs, right? They don't even understand the whole concept of running a business, but they use a marketplace to get started, okay? Then the other thing they mentioned is a quick go-to-market, right? It's a quicker learning process. So you're able to launch products, you're able to try things much quicker on a marketplace versus your own website, right? And I think those are some of the highlights that they talk about. And what I want to ask Devang is, what are the challenges when Deepak alluded to it by saying that when you have a brand, now how does a brand see a marketplace? And what other challenges do you see with the marketplace?
So I think essentially, when you look at a marketplace, I'll come from a payments perspective. So when I look at a payments perspective, COD we had a lot of debate earlier in the other session about COD versus online payments and everything else. Fundamentally, it's a question of trust. Now, a seller who's going to go online, because one of the biggest issues for a seller who's going to go online and either setting up their own website, or they're going and doing branding and a whole lot of things. The amount of money they're spending branding is going to be tremendous and huge, people who are going to something. So it's, when they get attached to maybe an eBay or a Paytm or maybe a Flipkart or some other marketplace, they have maybe a ceiling out there where there's a level of trust where people say, okay, fine, maybe a eBay or a Flipkart would have done some sort of a due diligence on this seller before boarding this guy on my side. So that's a question of, clearly a question of trust out there from a seller point of view. But if a person who's looking at building up their own brand, I would say, why do you need to go towards a marketplace? And so it depends on the kind of goods that you sell. For example, I know people, let's say for example, Excel videos, the guys who run, these are the close friends of mine, and they do have their own web store. At the same time, they also provide their CDs and other things through Flipkart and other things. Because for them, it's a digital good, it's basically the CDs, and the CD sections are there already on Flipkart and all. For them, it's a traffic. Rather than doing a traffic, they also have a decent traffic coming on their own website, but they're doing it because yes, that sort of goods are available on a Flipkart or something else. But tomorrow, if you're trying to sell some sort of an exotic kind of a good, would you want to go down and put that on a Flipkart or any kind of eBay or any kind of a marketplace? It won't make sense, because if you're trying to create something, does it really make sense to put that kind of a thing on a marketplace? So yes, there are maybe advantages to having a marketplace out there from basically pure business side. Second side is in terms of basically when you look at, again, from a payments perspective, when you look at from a marketplace or anything else, how are the payments handled? Because you're looking at essentially two sides of the whole thing. One side is collecting the payment from the consumer, and the second side is making a payment to the business. Now, for everything, like for example, there is an underlying RBI guidance out there, even for a marketplace, that you need to follow the nodal account, you need to follow the overall nodal account model, where money has to go to the nodal account, from there only you can make a payment to the seller. I don't know how many people are following that, but yes, I'm sure the people out here will be following that. But over a period of time, how do you make the payment, how do you secure the payment is going to be far more important. Now that is, when you look at a marketplace today, we have seen horror stories of things happening on the market. I won't need to name people, but we've seen things coming out in terms of sellers delivering whatever kind of goods. See, it's not about basically saying, oh, this guy did a mistake, I'm sorry about this. I've blacklisted that guy. You can't say this blacklist. But I'm selling that good on your website, you're allowing the seller to register on your website. Yes, you're not fiduciarily responsible for that. But what are the checks and balances going forward and ensuring basically the consumer security is protected? So at least that kind of soundbite that goes on consumer, yes, your money is still secure. Because if you're given some payment out here on the website, or you're going to go and when we do a COD or something else, your money is going to be secure, your money is not going to go there. For example, one thing I've seen about eBay is giving up advertising like something over here. And it's a phenomenal product. Because in that sense, you're saying it's the security of money is there. Consumer protection is far more clear. So that thing, those are the two areas that we need to look at. And finally, again, the marketplace or no marketplace is clearly in terms of, let's say if I want to set up a brand, I want to create a brand of my own, and a digital brand of my own, I would not go for the marketplace. Because yes, it's not like testing the waters and coming off. You're not just saying, oh, I'll just touch that and see if I can sell all that or not. Either you are in it or you're not in it. You're going to just decide on that.
Deepak, your view on that, please?
So, I partially agree with what Devon said, because marketplace model is for everyone, right? From a small brand to a big brand or no brand, everyone can sell online. And it's totally up to the discretion of a brand to see whether the TG of a marketplace fits to their own TG. So it's a very high ASP product, may not want to sell on marketplace. But if you look at now the reality, we have seen sellers who are exporting from India selling $10,000 worth of items. Someone in US or UK is buying from India. So it's up to a brand to choose whether he wants to come to a marketplace or not. If you look at reality, we have Carrot Lane, just to name a few of the brands in jewelry category. They all have their own stores in eBay. So what eBay also provides is a brand store. So the way you have your own website, you can integrate and have the same website look and feel on eBay. It's like ebaystores.carrotlane.com. So you can have your own URL. You will see that in Google coming up, and the same look and feel you can publish in your website. The second point about protection to buyers, because as we are open to all kind of sellers, so we need to ensure satisfaction for buyers. So what with PaisaPay, eBay has something called eBay guarantee. So this is 100% satisfaction guarantee that eBay provides to buyers. So if your product has not been shipped by the seller, or a duplicate product or some other product has arrived, eBay takes the responsibility of 100% money back to the buyer, regardless of the seller whether he is returning the money or not. And for new sellers, eBay has a policy of holding the money for 14 days. So the way I have a workshop also where I can explain. So the way it works is a new seller will ship the item. The buyer will first make the payment. Then seller ships the item, but that payment would be with hold with eBay till the buyer confirms that the product has arrived, and then eBay releases the money to the seller. And once the seller is doing good, we upgrade him to platinum seller, where he does not have to have his money hold with us. So those are the kind of checks and balances we have put in place to ensure buyer satisfaction.
Please.
See, I agree partially with Devan, but the point is that what I see as a marketplace is that marketplace is nothing but a replication of shopping mall. And in a shopping mall, Big Bazaar and Lavi can both coexist. So brands can coexist, and if brands don't coexist, then it's a loss of sale for them. Because it could be that a customer wears a brand A shirt and brand B pant, and if he gets brand B pant on Flipkart and doesn't get brand A shirt, and because brand A has taken a call that they want to go with their own e-commerce store and don't want to be on marketplace, then it's obviously loss of sale for them, which no brand would want, because any sale is good sale for business. So ideally, you need to pick which marketplace you would like to go. Suppose you're playing a niche category, you might want to go with a Pepperfry or Bluestone or a Carrot Lane or a niche marketplace, because they are vertical marketplaces, they are horizontal marketplace. So players like Paytm is a horizontal marketplace, we have multiple categories. Right? So suppose my customer profile has a strong correlation with the target group you are looking for, or your product is standing for, then obviously it makes a lot of sense for Paytm. So going forward, what I see is that few brands will go with player A, few brands will go with player B, and few with C. That is the future, because brands cannot ignore marketplace. And as far as consumers, protection and so on is concerned, e-commerce India is still at a kid stage, and with growth comes a lot of banks. So these are all growth banks, but for online companies, it's very essential that they take care of every concern, because you can go viral in a minute. A lot of things happen with a lot of players in the past few months, and it gave them a lot of negative players. So the onus on us is more to make sure that consumer protection as well as seller protection is there. Because today anyone can go to my Facebook page with a base of 10 million and write any nasty stuff about my company. So I'm more scared, and that's why my processes at the back end are more robust and taking care of everything as far as sellers and consumers both are concerned. Because for me, sellers are also customers and end customers are also customers. So I have to take care on the both sides. So yes, we are, industry is growing, a lot of things we are learning, so part of the learning curve, but going forward, we'll take care of everything as far as consumer seller protection is concerned.
Again, just want to summarize what challenges that Devan mentioned, and I know that Priyesh and Deepak kind of give a rework on it, but truthfully, brand does have to look at its brand. Right? At times, it's a brand's call if they will go to a marketplace. And like they said, maybe the brand goes based on TG, right, or target group. Does that marketplace have a target group? Sometimes it's not even the TG, right? They think that the brand exists by themselves, and they do the best job of portraying the brand, and the marketplace can't do that. Okay? So still, you will have to keep that in mind, and I understand different TGs, different marketplaces can serve, and that's a good way to choose which marketplace to go for. The other thing that Devan mentioned, and it is something that does bother me, when a marketplace, for instance, does something, it also is a brand reflection on you guys. Okay? Good, bad, otherwise, always. Okay? So if they're doing a great job, it's great for you, because you know what? That reflection comes to you. But even though you're not serving that customer, the reflection for the customer is still that you did a good job, right? But it also applies on the negative side of things. Okay? If something goes wrong, technology-wise, etc., on a marketplace, it also comes back to you. But like both kind of mentioned, marketplace's job is to make sure that these issues are taken care of, either on the payment side or on security or technology or whatever. But still, just remember that there is a reflection back to you when you talk about marketplace. And again, to summarize the whole thing, they both again continuously mentioned that you have to look who has your TG, right? Who has your target? That's who you go after, like Priyesh mentioned, right? right? If you're furniture, you're not going to go out and just sell it anywhere. You need to go after a certain type of a marketplace. Anyway, moving on, what I want to do is, Deepak, we'll start with you again, is to, Deepak has extensive experience in retail companies as well, and I wanted to kind of talk about how that retail brand kind of went through the process of going online and kind of sharing that with the audience so that you understand, what is that process, what are those questions to ask, and what are those decisions that need to be made.
Just to add, as Ashish said, I have spent about 5 years with Gitanjali, initially looking into corporate strategy, retail, and then expanding their e-commerce business for about 2 years. So I'll tell you a short story, how this e-commerce thing actually expanded in Gitanjali. So Gitanjali has various brands, Chili, Nakshatra, Asmedabad, Ahmedabad. Now these all brands had their own individual brand websites. Now they were not meant for e-commerce websites, they were brand websites, a lot of brand content, and some products are there with a payment gateway and everything. So if someone wants to buy, they can buy. So we are not heavily spending on getting traffic and selling. It was a very reactive approach, having a brand presence online. What we observed was there were transactions of, let's say, one necklace of 1,80,000, one Mangalsutra of 45,000, and bought by someone in a remotest corner of India. That place even I don't recall now. Last year I would have remembered the name. It's one of the 10 most backward villages of India where there's no postal service. So we had a very difficulty catering to that order, but we finally managed through India Post and delivered that item. So what we figured out was there's a customer even in those corner of India where Gitanjali would have never thought of opening a store or setting up a retailer or a franchisee. So that's basically was the idea. How do we reach out our brands to those customers who have aspiration to own a Nakshatra or a Chili but do not have access to a physical store in their location. And just quickly to add how we expanded, we looked at offline. Online is nothing but a replica of offline. In online, Gitanjali was selling through own stores, which is like a jewelry store. Then we had Gitanjali store, which is a multi-brand outlet. All the brands we would sell through. And then large formats like Shopper Shop, Lifestyle, Globus, we would sell through them. So we realized why sell through only a jewelry website. We created Gitanjali Gifts website, which is a multi-brand outlet, all the brands together. We saw very good traction. Then we moved into selling through eBay, Flipkart, Myntra, all these websites. And I mean, to tell you the truth, the sale was much more higher than what we had in our own website. And then we didn't stop there. We looked at offline. We have something called franchising offline. So also tested if we can have something like online franchising. So it was an experiment, and we did get good success there.
Great.
I totally understand, because I'm also coming from a SaaS background. Builders are really helping brands go online. So we help Vijay Sales go on store and few other brands online. Ideally, what happens is that if you are going ahead with your own e-commerce store, the problem is that you're not an expert of digital marketing. You don't expert. So you showed a lot of things which actually constitute e-commerce, not about only digital marketing. So about fulfillment, sourcing, a lot of other things. So as in digital marketing, SEO, organic traffic, getting conversions. Right? My point is that if you're not present on marketplace, what actually is happening, I've seen people going to stores of Nike in Phoenix Mall, taking the picture of product, going online back, and buying from Myntra or Jabong or some other marketplace. There are apps, there's sites where you can compare products on the basis of barcode that it's happening in the West. On the basis of barcode, you can identify where it's selling at the cheapest price. So in case of return, there's a big pain point in marketplace. It's mostly because in apparel category, what happens is that because of fit and size, there's a lack of look, feel, and fit. So to reduce this, what people do, they go to shop, they try out the product, they take a picture or they take the barcode, go back to the site. They know the size right now because they have tried the product, and they buy from the marketplace. Now, in case of marketplace, we can give the better margins because of the logistics and all other things of the e-commerce thing. Because we don't have OPEX in terms of we get the product directly from the manufacturer or the brand. So, a lot of middlemen is lost. So we can pass on the margins. Or also we have CAC, budget of CAC, so we can acquire customers based on some cashback or promotion that we are giving. So ideally for an end customer, at least in India, the Indian customer is a bargain hunter. So even if he's going after any brand, he'll go online, he'll purchase. So brands or anyone selling should see online as a demand generation platform also, because people are going there, discovering your brands. They might purchase, they might not purchase, but it's creating the demand. So a lot of digital savvy customers, they also do one thing, that go to Flipkart, Myntra, search your products, then they might go back to your brand store and purchase from there, because for them after sales service is better from you, right? So this is also happening, but you need to be present on a marketplace for that. So you cannot ignore it. Simple.
So before I move on from this, Devan, any views on what Deepak and Kriyesh have shared as far as why they should be on a marketplace?
Yeah, I think it's again a question of what they will go around selling their marketplace model. I would say this from a retailer. See, it's ultimately what we need to realize is, if I'm into business, I'm into business. I'm not into websites. Whether I'm on a marketplace, whether I'm on a web store or something, I'm in business. So I don't know. Fundamentally, people think, a website bana diya, then I'm already into online. I become an e-commerce guy. I'm going to be the next Amazon, next eBay, next Flipkart. You can't be. You got to think you would run business. You would have your margins. You would decide where you want to run through. I would still say a person who's doing that needs to have a website. I'll tell you my personal example. I bought this watch. Let's say it's Pebble. They have something called getpebbleIndia.com. I ordered it on the website. There was no address of the person or the company where it was. The call center agent calls me up, says, sorry, I'm not going to give you the address of the company. For a moment, I got shocked because I've been on online shopping for quite a long time. I said, if I'm not going to get an address, what am I going to do? And I had already made the payment online. I didn't realize it. Because being a payments company, I said, I should not be supporting COD, I'll do the payment online. But for a moment, I got a scare of my life. I said, if this guy don't deliver with the goods, then what happens? Fortunately, they didn't deliver, they had this address. But that building that trust is far more important, because if you're just there on the marketplace and you don't have a web presence, whether you're not selling or selling or not selling, but you have a web presence, at least people know who you are. They need to identify who you are. So first and foremost, because we are going to a debate of marketplace should be there or yes, it is essentially a target, it's a sales channel which you are trying to build up. I think what Deepak spoke about was, yes, they used my client, other people to sell approach. But if, for example, you're talking about this sort of marketplace, I have been, like, for example, we're working with one of the marketplaces now. This is a global marketplace for research papers, where you have one side universities and PhDs going and publishing those research papers, and there are people who are consuming those research papers. This is not FMCG. What would you call this sort of a marketplace? Now, these guys, yes, because they're essentially, because they have a PhD or a university, they need to go down to that marketplace and sell it. They are not going to sell their own website. It's a kind of a niche marketplace. So from, if you're setting up your own web store or something else, how do you decide what you want to set up? Are you basically kind of setting up, you want to set up a marketplace model? Because yes, perception is on the risk side, inventory is costly, because you talk to anybody else, the largest and biggest of India also in terms of inventory is extremely expensive. They will saddle with huge amounts of inventory. Of course, been funded by somebody else and somebody else's money. That's a different matter. But if you're going to put your own money out there, are you going to be basically going to spend on an inventory and put that money if the sales don't happen? So I think a choice has to be made by the person who's doing it, whether they want to create, they themselves want to create a marketplace. Because for example, it's just not saying, oh fine, I have, let's say you're working as a wholesaler and you want to create a market. So it's wholesaler, retailer, what sort of a model you are in, what business you are in, you want to set up your own marketplace, you want to be a part of a marketplace, you want to create a whole lot of choices are there. It's just not sitting into things. Yes, easiest way is get attached to marketplaces if you want to test the waters. But if you want to go beyond testing the waters and you want to have your own identity, I would say you still need to have your own presence.
Great, great counter views on certain things, and great some of the views I think they do share. Before we take the panel forward, can you raise your hand if you have questions? Because I don't know. So I don't want to ask a question now, but I want to gauge how much time I'll have to ask them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and back to 7. How much time do we have? 10 minutes? Okay, you know what? Is it okay if we take questions? And then if we left the time, we'll cover the other topic. So, can we get mics to them, please? Here. Just take mics. Just start in the front and then.
Hi, this question is from Mr. Devang. You mentioned that university research paper model. I was just curious as to if you were referring to a specific site university research paper model, was that a specific site you were mentioning?
No, I can't name them right now, but there are a couple of them because one of them actually, as an engineer, so I'm funding that also. It's called Rock Your Paper, and there is one more in UK which is actually inside.
These are new ones?
Pardon?
These are up and coming still, or they're already set
Then
up?
both of them are there, both of them are set up right now. They are live and running now.
By the way, actual funding, there's no challenge in funding, right? So you can still invest. So next.
Yeah, hi. So one question just to the panel. In the traditional way of doing business, the companies have had geographical catchment areas for all the dealers. So one dealer would supply this territory, the other dealer would supply another territory. But as you get, on the internet, in the marketplace, you don't have any such division anymore. I mean, one dealer can take over the territory of another dealer, and this is one of the major grudges across for the dealerships. So how do you think this is going to evolve eventually?
See, I mean, it's a difficult question because there exists a conflict currently. So for people who have an offline distribution model and coming online is definitely there's no clear line of demarcation between the offline players who are related to this customer and this customer who will come to online. So the way we look at it from the customer point of view. A customer wants to shop both channels, right? Customer doesn't want to shop only offline. He wants some things to buy online. Sometimes he has urgency, he cannot wait for the delivery. He wants to buy offline. Sometimes he wants to touch and feel. So I mean, we need to go with the customer. If a customer is willing to buy online as a channel, we should be able to open up to that conflict and let the customer decide which channel they want to buy. Because it's practically not only in India, even the evolved marketplaces of US, UK. I have not come across any example where people have differentiated territory or a geography or catchment for online and offline.
So if I can just add to it, yeah, marketplace cannot do it, but when brands go online, they are able to do it. So what they do is they carry the demarcation online as well. So yes, it sells to a central platform, but the credit, a certain percentage of the credit still goes to the distributor of that area, okay? And we're working with a couple of brands on that exact thing in India because they were having the same challenges. How do you deal with online, which is a more global, universal product? Anybody can order from anywhere. So the model is, it's not the same percentages that you may carry today offline. But yes, there is some percentage given back to the distributor of that area, even when the order comes online. So a brand might be able to do it, but a marketplace, like they said, it's a platform, right? Remember, marketplace is just a platform to connect. So they cannot create these kinds of things. It's for the brand to do.
Just to add to your question, what Ashish said, it's true. In US, they had tied up with a couple of big offline brands who have a physical presence. So what we do is there's a concept of browse online and buy offline. There are a lot of people who browse it at the convenience at home, but they want to finally go touch and feel and buy it, pick it up from the store. So those are also channels which are hybrid channels. Eventually, you would have some kind of agreement with a dealer or distributor in a location where you can say, hey, you know what, if I have to ship that individual item from this place, it would cost me more. I would share that margin with you, let the customer walk in, touch and feel and pick it up. So I think that's something that you got.
And in case of India, it's happening. So if you know about Mahindra two-wheeler, they're selling online on a marketplace, and the whole thing happens through the dealer network. So suppose someone sitting in Chennai purchases that Mahindra two-wheeler on marketplace, the dealer in Chennai gets notification from Mahindra saying that this is a customer, he has bought this. Please make sure that the fulfillment happens. And in this case, the value-added service provided to him is that everything from RTO and paperwork is taken care by the dealer. So this is the extra value that we are giving online, again to entice customers. So that's happening in India, and moving forward it will happen more.
terms of user segmentation in PGs, even in marketplace. Ashish talked about that. My question is primarily for Priyesh. So Priyesh, Paytm started as a mobile recharge website, and now I think so you're diversifying into being an e-commerce website. You're trying to compete with Snapdeals and Amazon of the world. So are you diluting your target segment, or are you diversifying your target segment?
As I tell you, we don't want to be next Amazon or Flipkart. We from day one we want to be mobile marketplace. Flipkart didn't. Now they rightly said by Ashish today that mobile should be your first strategy. Now they have realized that this is the strategy going forward. So we want to be mobile marketplace, first mobile marketplace, largest mobile marketplace. Now I'll tell you, recharge is nothing but a digital goods category, subcategory. If you talk about digital goods, where there is no fulfillment, it all happens online, like in case of tickets. It's part of marketplace, right? Now, over 4 years, we acquired a customer base of 21 million users. 0.5 million users, doing transactions on my site. Why should not I give you more options? It makes a lot of sense for me as a business, right? And it's a natural extension, nothing else. So we are totally focused on mobile. Web also the traction is very good. We have a very good customer base. These are all digital savvy customers plus people who are coming to digital field. So we want to grow our business. We want to be next, biggest mobile marketplace. And also, if you know about Paytm, we do have a payment gateway plus Paytm wallet. So it gives a lot of value, right? So we have created a whole marketplace around our payments expertise. And payments has been a pain point. And we did, became master of that. After becoming master of that, we started this marketplace so that, we give more value to our end customers.
Sorry, a follow-up question on that. So this question is now for the panelists, because there's a website called Quidzy. Quidzy was a company where diapers.com, soap.com. So they also did something similar, but they have separate websites for the segmented market. But Paytm, I'm listening to you, and you are actually putting everything onto the same platform. So what is the preferred approach when we are going for a marketplace? Is it diversifying everything for the same customer base, or is it having separate entities for each of these products or services that you said?
I'll just very quickly give my view. It's a very general view. It depends on your business model. And to be honest, right? I think you can work either way. You can make either one work, right? It's just which way do you want to do it. So, for instance, a Flipkart wants to go a general merchandise way, right? So they do, right? Maybe a Craftsvilla wants to go on the niche category. They do, and they can both make it work. It's just what your model, which one do you want to target? But anyway, I can.
I think what he's saying is right. Ultimately, it's your shop. You will decide. क्या करना है, क्या बेचना आपके ऊपर है. If you decide, because ultimately, yes, from a business model, you say, but yes, are you getting 2 points when you're diluting? Ultimately, at the end of it, success works. Nothing works for success.
I'm Bhavin from India Conclave. We've been talking about marketplace and horizontal players and verticals for products. We touched upon the service-based marketplace. So obviously there will be verticals as of now. But do you see here in India or globally, if there is any horizontal player for service-based marketplace?
So there is a basic issue with the service marketplace, right? So we talk about the products marketplace. Your biggest issue is that trust. What product quality? On service, how would you be able to gauge that as a marketplace? So it can last a few months while you start, but once your non-delivery guys, let's say services, you're selling home cleaning, whatever, right? Let's say 5 of the 10 don't do a great job of cleaning. Now, it doesn't work. So I think in services, that's why you don't have a large player. It's just because you're not able to curate the service that would be offered to the customer. But that's.
Hi, my name is Medha. Yeah. I'm from Ahmedabad. I have 2 questions. Now the first question is really about cash on delivery model. We've spoken a lot about it. Can you throw more light on it in terms of how exactly is it handled given larger and larger ticket sizes of products being bought online? So there's clearly a risk involved in this model. So if you could just throw light on that. And my second question is really about a challenge that you mentioned earlier about fraud being committed by merchants. And I do remember reading about eBay India when it entered the market and how there were some certain frauds and the company lost money. So what are the checks and balances you've introduced, and are there any KYC norms or something that you subject your entrepreneurs or whoever is basically selling online to?
So I think first I will give the second question to him because usually I'm not too competent to answer on the KYC, at least merchant side he can. COD, of course, there are logistics players out there who can address the way the mechanism is being done. But if you look at from an RBI perspective, I'll say RBI and the government has a limit in terms of how much cash can be handled or can be done for individuals. Beyond 50,000 or something, you're not supposed to have cash with you. You're supposed to be there. There are rules and regulations out there. India being largely a cash economy, people, like somebody in the audience in the earlier session said, yes, people want to pay by cash because they don't want to come with their radar. But I think this is a misnomer out here right now. In the digital age, people have digital data on tap. For example, what stops maybe an income tax authority to go down and talk to a marketplace and say, give me all the guys who are basically paying in cash for a value below 50,000. If there is an inherent risk of that, the risk is twofold, because we were into some sort of business earlier in terms of financial inclusion and all that. We had spoken about insurance companies saying, if wherever in some rural areas or other places, anything beyond 10,000 or 20,000, carrying cash also is risky. Because at the end of the day, you have a courier agency or somebody else, a guy going down there, there's a reliability of a guy. You think of a guy who's going and collecting cash, if he's going to collect maybe 1 lakh or 2 lakh rupees as cash out there, look at his salary level. His salary would be maybe 10,000, 15,000. What if he runs away with that cash? Second is, what if he gets looted? Because if the guy is genuinely good, if he gets looted, what do you do? And what sort of a fidelity insurance or what sort of insurance covers do they have? Because those kind of things are going to be risky because you don't know what is the amount of cash that guy is going to carry at any point of time. So again, there are fidelity insurance covers and everything else, but you need to ensure that right kind of security was there. And although I'm not against insurance, I'm for insurance, but it's an insurance company's job not to pay the money. Because they will give you insurance not to pay money back to you. So there are inherent risks in COD, and that is where we've always been propagating, yes, you need to move towards a card-based model, electronic payments model. If you're not paying online, if you do not trust the vendor or the supplier, you can always use a card on delivery. We provide point-of-sale terminals. We were talking to a whole lot of marketplaces and everybody else. Then why don't they use point-of-sale terminals? Take these point-of-sale terminals. There are a lot of debit cards out there in the market. For example, there are more than 300 plus million debit cards in India, and more than 75 million or debit cards are going to be seeded now with RuPay coming in and Prime Minister Janla coming in. More debit cards are going to come. Why don't you use that as a channel for accepting payment? That makes it a lot more secure for you. From a business point of view, you get your money in the second day or third day rather than waiting 15 days or whatever. Yes, if you're okay with that 15-day model, that's your choice, but even that, you get your money in 2 or 3 days time. And from the consumer, for the agency, even the courier agency becomes a lot more secure. So, as an overall, the move towards electronic payment will be a lot better for the country as well as for the overall ecosystem. So, I think that's where I would end. I think I leave to
answer your question on risk from merchants. I'm going to give you an urban analogy. Again, every business has certain risks. If you're in the business of transportation, you cannot eliminate the risk of accidents. Similarly, in online, if we are an open marketplace, we're inviting all sellers to come and sell with us. We cannot eliminate the risk, but there are certain measures we have taken to reduce the risk. For example, each seller in their dashboard has something called feedback ratings. So whenever a buyer buys something from a seller, he is welcome from eBay to actually drop in his feedback, and that rating is visible. It could be a negative rating, it could be a brutal rating, it is there. So that's one way the new customers can actually read through the reviews before they buy. So that's one. Second, eBay allows certain number of defects. For example, if you're selling 100, if you're doing 100 transactions, you're allowed to do 5 transactions with the defects. So that defect can be you have delivered late. The customer has given a negative rating. You have delivered wrong product, or you could not fulfill. You are out of stock. So it could be a practical, genuine reason, but at the end, the customer had a bad experience. So we allow up to 5 defects in 100 transactions, and there's a way in which we scale our sellers. We do not allow them to put inventory as many as possible in day one and promote them heavily. We slowly see their feedback ratings, how they are growing, and grow them. So that's one approach. And second is there are certain categories, for example, diamonds. We had some experience of sellers listing, CZ, and if you understand, it's zirconium, which is not a diamond, and calling it a diamond and selling. So there are some categories which could be very sensitive, so that's why we have restricted. So we do KYC and to understand the background, whether he has a manufacturing or whether he has a store, and do the understanding, and then we bring him on board. And talking about exports, which is more critical, and the experience is much more important for a buyer who is foreign buyer. Impression of Indian sellers is concerned. So we have made it mandatory for anyone who is doing export to do a KYC. So these are the checks and balances we have put in place.
Thanks.
Ashish, I have just a small quick question here, please. Hi. I am Arun. I have come from Delhi to learn from you, learning guys, for this. My just two questions are related to regulatory point of view. What I understand, regulations are still not there, and if they are there, I don't know. If you can just tell me if any specific country-specific regulation which we should take care for this e-commerce business in India as on date, and second, is it center-specific issue as far as the regulation is concerned, or a state-specific issue? And for export part, who is responsible to take care of that importing country regulation? As a merchant, I am, or the consumer who is buying?
I'll start off, and if they can add, you're welcome to add. And we'll actually deal with this in detail in another panel later on today. But
okay.
Just quickly, so your Consumer Protection Act is the regulation that you want to deal with, and if you saw the new modification that's coming to it that takes in consideration e-commerce transactions, that will be the regulation. And so what I say is that it has to be centralized. It cannot be state-wise, because every state can have its own political scenario that drives the regulation one way or the other way, which it should not be, right? It's got to be common across the board, because e-com, like we're saying, it breaks all boundaries, right? It's all nationwide or even global. So why would the regulation for e-com be state when it should be national? But anyway, that I think we can even take this in detail on that next panel, unless you guys have something to.
Hi, I'm Akash. In US, big brands like Starbucks, Louis Vuitton are all sells on Amazon also. So, do you think they are diminishing their brand value, or they just can afford because they're already established brand?
See, the choice of a target audience, you've always been talking about a TG out there. The choice is entirely at the TG, whether you want to do it or not. You may have a Starbucks selling on an Amazon, but as a consumer, where would you go? Because if you know Starbucks is a brand, your first touch point is going to be directly Starbucks. You say, okay, but it's potentially, I would not want to miss out, as what we said, we don't want to miss out on any sales channel. Tomorrow, if there is a billboard somewhere else, I'll put a billboard out there and say, yes, I want to be. So, you don't want to use that. Probably it could be a kind of a conscious category also. You say, for example, if hypothetically Amazon happens to become the biggest thing and they kind of dilute some other coffee provider out there versus being a Starbucks, or might as well be there. So it's entirely your call, but it's basically from a business point of view, how do you want to look at it? Because when you look at being a brand, you would say, okay, what do you want to promote? Do you want to promote, the choice was basically, do you want to have your own website, or you want to go into a marketplace model, or you want to have both of them. Both of them can coexist, but second would be much more of a corollary to the first one, because primarily you want to protect your own brand identity and interest.
So are you saying that building brand, when you're building a brand, the marketplace is not a good idea, but when you already establish identity in the market, then you can afford to do that?
I personally would feel that, because if you're building up a brand, because marketplace, for example, if you're going and buying something on a Flipkart or somewhere else, you're buying a Samsung phone, for example, you know Vijay Sales, you know basically other people out there. So, but if you're there as one of the sellers on the website, if you're a new guy, where do you build up your brand? You don't have a brand there. Now you let's look at, you have the mobile store, you have Vijay Sales, you have Chroma, all those guys. Chroma may be selling online, maybe through Flipkart, somebody else, I'm not sure about that. But they would be. But if they were to do anything, if they did not have their own presence, because they're already a large brand out there. they don't want to get lost in that list of sellers out there, because maybe somebody is selling a mobile phone at 5,000 rupees lesser or more. That's a clearly a dilution, because what are they competing against? You're saying a Chroma versus maybe a small mobile store somewhere in your city. As a president, today everybody has an ego, right? So you don't want to be seen along the guy, what am I doing with this guy? I have a brand. I would like to be seen differently. So that's entirely a perception out there. Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry, just one quick thing I want to add to it. Though I agree with him, there's a little point I disagree with him. I think you have to first define what that brand is, right? What's the purpose of your brand? If the brand is Louis Vuitton, yeah, you know, but if you don't want to dilute it. But if the brand is about being with the masses, being everywhere, then yes, it does make sense. So in most what Devang said, I agree. But then I think you still need to define the brand before you can make that decision. Is it one way or the other way?
Recently, like when last time I've seen the big sale was there from Flipkart and Snapdeal. After that, we found that there was a lot of pricing war was there, and then we found that a lot of companies like Sony and LG, they banned selling online e-commerce, and they are not giving the warranty of their product. Clearly, when you go onto their website, they mention that if you buy from this so and so e-commerce company, they will not give any warranty up to that. So how the e-commerce companies are normally, it is the business of from seller to buyer or B2C connection. They are connecting B2C, and how this is working out and how it is, we should look at it in the future.
Addresses as a consumer rather than anything else. See, if I'm buying from a store in basically a neighborhood, or I'm going online and buying, it's none of anybody's business to come and tell me that you are not going to give me warranty. Because the company, even though it's been set on any website, I'm getting an authorized warranty card and everything else. I'm registering today. My servicing of my warranty is being done manufactured and not by the brand or the shop is selling it. So fundamentally, as a consumer, I have my own right. So nobody's business to go and say, okay, well, I may support online, I not support online. If you want to disallow online, completely disallow online sales, it is their business. But I would say from the consumer, that's the limited point I would say from a consumer side.
What happens is, on Flipkart, if you see Chroma detail, you know that it's from Chroma, right? So you can still trust that this, I'll get a warranty card, or this is authentic purchase, right? But if you see that ABC shops, so we don't know, he is authorized to sell or not. So if we get something bad, right, company is not going to say that this one is not authorized seller. We are not responsible if you don't get a bill. And Flipkart says, hey, this is a seller who wants to sell. We don't take responsibilities for them. So that is basically depend upon that thing. That it's not like company don't want to sell online. They are saying that we are not taking responsibilities. If you are getting a China, a duplicate, goods out there, or not authorized or authenticated products out there. So the thing is like that. So how can we trust, the sellers that they are selling the right product or maybe authorized products online?
So let me just say something about the first part of the question, and then I'll have the marketplace guys tell you the second part of the question. The main reason that the warranties are not, or they're saying that they will not take the warranty, is not because of product being wrong or whatever. It's only because they're reducing the prices to sell below what brands have specified, right? It has nothing more than that to do with that particular thing. So like Devang said, I don't care as a consumer. Plus, even as an industry, we're pushing the brands to say, why do you care, right? If the product is sold and the industry is taking the losses, you still need to apply the warranty. You tell us not to sell, that's one thing, but you cannot tell the consumer that I will not give you a warranty for it. That's for the first part. And let the second part.
Just adding to his point, there is an MRP, then there is an MOP. If you sell below MOP, any brand would come after you, because basically you're disrupting their offline market. Like, so no one wants to do that. If someone does for customer acquisition, fine, as in, again they will learn later that this is not the right way to go ahead. But coming to warranty, there are two
kinds of warranty. One is seller warranty, another is manufacturer warranty. I cannot speak for other marketplace, but we make sure that seller warranty should be their minimum. So as in you cannot sell on Paytm until unless you give seller warranty. Manufacturer warranty is something that we look for, but if you don't have that, then at least you have to provide my end customer that seller warranty.
But let's say, you know,
Otherwise you cannot sell.
Seller is offering us warranty, right? But tomorrow that shop is closed. The company is not responsible for this warranty.
I do have a proper agreement. If you know the unfinished business will do that, as in will complete, will come after you if you go and run away, something like that. So we do take care and make sure that the downside of end customer is protected in all cases.
See,
Let's do this. Let's take this offline because if it's going to go back and forth, I want to take one more question and we're already running over time. So you can definitely take it with the two markets. Let's get offline. Just want to take one last question and.
Yeah, I'm Sunny from Get. We're just talking about marketplace model and a cell-phone website, right? But now we see a new trend coming out in the market where brands are giving exclusivity to certain marketplaces, right? So now that counteracts both the systems, right? So they're not going on their own with their own brand, even though they are branded websites or branded products. But they're not going to all marketplaces either. They're giving it to a certain marketplace as an exclusivity, right? How do we know which way to sell would be better?
I'll quickly, and then I'll transfer to these guys. I think that's the best strategy you can do, in my opinion. You get both best of both worlds, right? You maintain your brand, right? And at the same time, you like you said, it's in the middle. It's your own website on the marketplace, and it's exclusive. So what else do you want? I mean, you kind of taken all the pros that these guys have talked about. You still have all them applying, right? They're marketing for you, they're selling for you, they have logistics ready for you. On the same side, you're also building that brand, in my opinion, right? So I think it's best of both worlds, but that's my opinion. I mean, that's the thing.
I mean, there are pros and cons to it. You put all your eggs into one basket. That's how you can look into it. Because you look at, there are so many e-commerce companies evolving, and the business opportunity exists equally with other large organizations. So do you want to give all the credits to one business partner and let him exploit the maximum margins out of you, or you actually be present in multiple partners and see what is the competitive margins going on, or can they serve you even better? So I mean, there are pros as well as there are cons.
Ideally, suppose we have multiple products. Microsoft has done this in India. They did not pick a single marketplace. They went with multiple marketplace for multiple products. So product A, I'll go with this player. Product B, I'll go with this player. That is the best way to go ahead because you will test the water. You will get to know which one target group correlates with your target group better.
I think what we did is some personal experience which we had done with Samsung. We were running their online EMI program for marketplaces as well as stores around a year back. They had done a selective tie-up. They had said we'll not give to everybody. They said we'll tie up only with 6 or 7 providers. That's it. The whole idea was basically in terms of they were putting in their own marketing monies behind that on those large guys. At the same time, they were using the customer strength and the marketing reach of those bigger boys also, so Flipkart and somebody else. So that helped them. I think probably that may have been the first kind of a one of its kind to start out this sort of an initiative in India because, and that gave tremendous success to go out and reach a target audience rather than making it a generic thing. So they were not trying to create a generic campaign, but they went only with select 6 or 7 guys where they were offering maybe an online EMI for a certain specific Samsung product. It's not for every product. Let's say it could be maybe a Samsung S5 or something. S4 was just launched that time. They said for S4 we're going to run a campaign maybe on 4 or 5 months when it goes.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. That was definitely highly focused and interactive panel discussion. Can we have a round of applause, please? Thank you very much.